I'm Isabel Dean, and I use she, they pronouns. My project is about tracking rare and endangered lichen within Western Washington state. So a lichen is a little organism that is made up of a mushroom biont and a algae biont, and they make a vessel where the fungus can eat the algae, and the algae then is housed by the fungus so that way it doesn't die from UV rays. So then they create this symbiosis where they just continually grow with each other, and it creates this lichen. And then because they're so complicated, they take a very long time to grow, and all of them are very different from each other, and they have very niche environments. And so a lot of them are considered to be endangered or imperiled in some way due to the environment, climate change, housing development, and all sorts of fun stuff. For example, Westport Golf Course, State Park, lichen and habitat, not very good. So there's one of them. So this time I was working with 5 other lichens, and I went to several different sites in Washington state. I went to approximately 30 sites. Most of them were contained to the Hoh rainforest, where I didn't find any of them at all. There's too many people, and there's too much moss there for anything to grow. And a lot of the sites that I did visit were dated back to like the 50s and the 60s. So if it's been like about 40 years since the lichen has been seen, it's more than likely not there anymore. So I went and visited these sites with some friends and family members, and then we documented whether or not we did find it and whether or not the environment was suitable for these lichens. Hypertrichina afroevoluta, the very top one, we thought, which is this one, we thought was really rare, but apparently it's not. It likes to grow at like dog parks and like high rich nitrogen areas and likes disturbance. So it's just not really documented because you need a DNA sequence this one. And then there's Nephroma occultum, which is known to be a super rare lichen in Washington state. It only grows on 400-year-old Douglas fir trees in high elevation. And I was not able to find it at all. The only way you can find it is through tree climbing or drones or litterfall. And then there's Pannaria oregensis. There's 2 listed sites in Washington state. Both of them were misidentified from the 1940s for a different lichen. So we only think it grows in Oregon. This one, Pseudocyphellaria hawaiiensis, grows in very niche environments where it's strictly on the coast. And I only was able to find it down like in the Long Beach area. One of them had a super high population, so that was super good. I was so happy. And then the other one was really small and was not doing so well. So there's that one. And then Pseudocyphellaria melota, like, is seen from Chile most of the time and is super big and get like this big. Ours are this small and they don't tend to grow any bigger. I think it's because of fire regimes and due to the suppression of fire in Washington state, it's allowing for them to grow back. And it takes them forever to grow. And so now we're starting to see them, and we only found it one time up in the north area, kind of like in the Bellingham, Diablo Lake area. So pretty. But yeah, and then after this, it'll be turned into conservation assessments for the IUCN Fungal Red List page and for NatureServe. I learned that lots of people don't like to revisit historical sites for a lichen. They kind of just deem that, oh, it was found at one point, so it's probably fine. And that's not true. The environment is always changing all the time, so it's important to come back to these locations to make sure they're okay. Kind of like animals or plants. It's the same thought process. And a lot of these lichens are actually really endangered. We thought that maybe not so bad. They're going away. And some of them, like for example, Hypertrichina afroevoluta, it's just not really identified very well. It needs DNA sequencing, and DNA sequencing is not very well developed in the lichen world, so that needs to be figured out. And then melota is just so small. It's so small. You can't even see it. It's like accidentally walking into it. And then this one, we are assuming it just doesn't grow in Washington state at all. So it really just depends, and we highly encourage people to go out and survey frequently to make sure that these lichens are actually doing okay and to find future and possible locations for them. I worked with a lot of people this quarter or over the summer. My faculty member was Lolita Calabria. My baby sister Olivia Dean was really helpful in coming with me to these locations, as well as my friend Butterfly, my dad, my mom, and my boyfriend Liam.